on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great start to your new year. I hope you had a safe and happy new year. And having a look right here, Bitcoin is still kind of boring, but you could see we're still trading in this range roughly, but we did bounce up out of this. Now, obviously today, even though it's Monday, the stock market is closed because it's observing the holiday that happened yesterday. So because of that, we're really seeing that low volume all around. But something I did actually take as, at least short-term bullish is the fact that on the 4-hour, we did have this crazy wick down here. You could see that this candle right here opened at around 16,004. We dumped all the way down to 16,300. It got bought back up instantly. And not only that, the candle actually closed even higher than it initially opened. So that does kind of signal that, people are at least appreciating these levels for purchasing, right? There is somebody clearly keeping the price afloat right now. So we're not going to talk too much, about this. There is something specifically though that, this boring sideways action is going to end. There's two indicators right now that are showing us this. And the other things that I wanted to talk about as well is basically just like looking forward into the new year, seeing what's going on. Because if you guys watched my video that I did the other day, we were talking about how it's not just Bitcoin. We have seen, this is Tesla right here. This is the Tesla stock. Look at it, just falling right off a cliff. It was down 74%. Now it's down around 70%. So, you've actually, believe it or not, still seen Bitcoin, believe it or not, perform better than a lot of, stocks and stuff that are out there right now. Now, there are some people like, for example, David Marcus. You guys might remember him. He was a former executive at Facebook Meta, and he's become a recent advocate for the Bitcoin Lightning Network. He thinks that the damage that has been done is very bad. He thinks that we're not going to see any significant moves, and we're just going to have this crypto winter straight into 2025, right? That is one possibility. On the other possibility, we also have guys like Michael Burry, the big short guy, right, who's, short everything, coming out saying, basically calling the Fed's bluff, saying, no, they're not going to be able to do this for as long as they say. They're going to pivot. They're going to start printing a lot of money again. And then, well, you know what happens, right? Everything goes back up again. So we are going to talk about a lot of this today. And, especially the fact that, if you have a look at this all-time the market cap, when we had peaked back in 2018, you could see right here, we were sitting at around 800, billion. And as of today, even with the 70% drawdown, we're still sitting at around 840. So we're still ultimately, as an entire market cap, sitting higher than we were even at the all-time high, despite the fact that Bitcoin is below $20,000. But then that does beg the question, what about these altcoins? Will the altcoins have that cycle? Because you've had guys like Mark Moss coming out basically saying that the Bitcoin, Bitcoin is fine, Bitcoin's going to keep going, but the altcoins, they're speculative. Nobody's going to want to touch them with a 10-foot pole. Regulation is going to pound them into the ground, and, making quick money from altcoins is over and it'll never happen again. I would love to hear about your opinion on that, because I think fear and greed doesn't change. And unless, let's say, they come out with some regulation specifically just saying like you cannot trade or hold or buy altcoins, I think that greed and fear, people are going to get greedy. They're going to not be happy with a 5x from Bitcoin. They're going to want to try to get that 100x. Right? So I don't know. I don't know if the altcoin speculation will ever die. And I do think that, some of these will come out on top. Who will be the winners? Well, time will tell, right? Time will tell. So that's basically what we're going to talk about today. Oh, and the fact that Sam from Alameda, if you guys didn't know this, so apparently they almost collapsed back in 2018. So they have not really had a very good track record. But if that sounds good to you guys, get subscribed. A little bit of a different video today. We're taking it at a little different pace. Not much has happened. As you guys can see though, the levels are holding perfectly again. You can see this heart line right here in this parallel channel. I've spoke about the fact that we are still putting in higher lows, which is good. Right now, though, we are attempting to break above this. Obviously, if we do have this breakout and we it's not a fake out like this, then yes, our target is up here at around $17,500 still. I still think that is a perfectly acceptable target. And you can see right here, we have actually broken this downward sloping trend, right? Like you can see right here, we've technically broken above that. It's only the first real candle. I guess you could say we kind of did it here. So that's good to see. But the real test is, going to be this next line, taking it from this wick here to this wick here. And if we were to go just straight up in a line today, that would be around the $17,000 level. So I am saying that we still do have that target of around 17.5, but now we do also have this downward sloping trend, which is acting against us as extra resistance, right? So will we be able to actually break through it? Well, as I've been pointing out, we're running out of time here, guys. I mean, look at this right here. This is basically the last week that we can be in this formation without having to have a major move. There's no other place for Bitcoin to go, right? We're either going to have, a fake out to the upside or to the downside, or, we're going to have a rally to the upside, or unfortunately, a dump to some of these lower levels. Now, which way are we going to go? I would like to pretend like I know, guys, but to be honest with you, it's a little uncertain right now. I've been quite surprised how low the volume is. It's been almost impossible to trade. I mean, unless you just want to trade these little 2% moves, but I mean, who wants to sit there and do that? You can make money, but really, you want to establish some form of a trend, right? Whereas when we started coming down here, it was easy to figure out, just literally drawing the simplest of simplest, trend lines right here, boom. You knew that every time, you were hitting here, you were shorting, and then, we came above it, we came back down again, tested it, and look, literally that pump coincided with it. But right now the trend is down. But as far as these Bollinger Bands are concerned, they're very, 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 very tight. I mean, look how tight this is right here. And you can see that whenever, even back here, right, we still had that pop. This was a not so good one. All right, we fell down. But my point is, you could see that when we get the Bollinger Bands tightening, here's one where it wasn't too tight, but we got a pop off that. So yeah, I mean, this is the tightest we've seen it in quite some while. So I am expecting volatility for Bitcoin. And, oddly enough, you're seeing risk assets fall, but you've also seen the DXY falling as well. And if we get down to this level at around 102, that's pretty critical. And the next thing, we could be back down here again at 100. And I think at this point, it's pretty confirmed that the dollar has reversed, right? So what are some things, though, that could be affecting us coming up? Well, of course, we have the December PMI and the CPI data. I think that comes out in a week. The FOMC, that's happening in 2 days, the minutes. And, people are going to be listening. They're going to want to listen to, the tone. But yeah, I mean, he says DXY on the verge of breaking down. This is Calum Thomas. 10-year yields reaching resistance. Crude oil rebounded to resistance. Gold paused at resistance. Stocks treading water. And markets closed today. So you're just kind of waiting. You're kind of waiting for that catalyst, both good or bad. But like Michael Burry pointed out, he says inflation peaked, but it is not the last peak of this cycle. We likely see CPI lower, possible negative in the second half of 2023, and the U.S. in a recession by any definition. The Fed will cut and the government will stimulate, and we will have another inflation spike. It's not hard, right? So it's been a crazy situation with how much inflation, has been. But even like Robert Kiyosaki says, Bitcoin worried? No. I'm a Bitcoin investor, as I am an investor in physical gold, silver, and real estate. I'm not a trader or a flipper. When Bitcoin hits new bottom, which he says could be maybe between 10 to 12K, we have said that there is that possibility at around 13,800. That's where we had the monthly close, very important monthly close in 2017, all-time high. He says, I will get excited, not worried. I bet against the Fed, Treasury, Biden, and I bet on gold, silver, and Bitcoin, right? Now, there are some signs that maybe the worst is actually over, right? Obviously, there's always going to be those black swans or those unexpected things. I mean, a black swan is like a true black swan is an event that you can't even foresee. So we know there could be a possibility of Genesis getting in trouble. There could be a possibility of Tether, right? Or maybe another exchange is insolvent or digital currency group, right? These things could happen, right? They would suck in the short term, but they would be good for the space long term because they clear out the muck, right? They get rid of the extra bad players and, it paves way for a better ecosystem. But here's something, Bitcoin exchange whale ratio, 72-hour moving average has been going down recently. So why do we care about this? Well, because if you're seeing large amounts of whales deposit into exchanges, big chunks of Bitcoin and they're coming from these big entities, they're probably going to sell, right? Why do you send big chunks of money to exchanges? Usually to sell, right? Unless it's US dollars, USDT, then probably to buy, right? But in this case, the Bitcoin exchange whale ratio was rising, you could see in the first half of the year, showing that whales were increasingly dumping their coins as the price fell. By Q3, however, the metric observed a slowdown. In the last few months of the year, the trend has reversed and the indicator started a downtrend. So I'm obviously not trying to get anyone, too excited here with hopium, but you can kind of see that when we have this peak and you see it start to come down, that's when you have these big moves, right? This was kind of an outlier, but, point being, and then what happens is it ends up getting down in these low areas, and then that usually signals, the peak, or we're getting close to the peak, which would have actually been a pretty good indicator had we been looking at this. I really don't look at this indicator at this, like the first time I've really seen it, but you can see right here, this is coming down. So historically speaking, does it mean that, this sideways purple box is potentially this right here? Like we're just up here and then we're going to have the slide? It's a possibility. I'm not going to rule it out at this point, but historically, it does signal. And I know like this time is different, but we're talking about whales with money. This isn't like a metric that's based on what the Fed is doing. We're literally seeing the whales, reverse what they were doing. So, I mean, this could be something positive for Bitcoin. Now, not to get back into the doom and gloom, but we do have David Marcus, CEO and founder of Bitcoin firm Lightspark, former at Meta. He says that crypto winter will likely last until 2025. He says it'll take a couple of years. He says it'll take a couple of years for the market to recover from the abuse of unscrupulous players and for responsible regulation to come through. Consumer trust is also going to take a few years to rebuild. But ultimately, I believe this will prove to be beneficial reset for legitimate industry players over the long run. And I also agree with this. A lot of people that rushed in, because we've been doing crypto for a while, people that have been watching this channel. And there were like so many new people that came into the space, at the peak. And it's tough. You do get caught up in the euphoria. I myself, I also get caught up sometimes, and I have to take a step back. But for all the people that came in recently that haven't left, that are still here, and let me know when did you guys get into crypto? Did most of you, I don't really even know most of my viewers, what year you guys got in. But if it was recently, like as in the last year or so, this is a true opportunity. And I think living through these things, like I'm glad that I lived through previous bear markets because it made me more resilient. It taught me a lot. I became better at, having, like, there was one point where I didn't even have a cash position. I was just 100% in Bitcoin. So my entire life, all of the money that I had, it was just completely whatever was happening with the price of Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin would fall 20%. Okay, I'm 20% poorer. And, over time, I started being like, okay, I do believe in Bitcoin long term. My goal is to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible, but I also need to maintain cash positions, right? And that comes with time in the space. You get better at trading, right? When I used to trade in the beginning, you get lucky here and there, but you don't have a strategy. So next thing you know, you're over leveraged or you get liquidated, God forbid. That's happened to a lot of people that I know. I've been liquidated before. It's happened to me, guys. And now it's like your risk management gets better. So what I'm kind of trying to say is, even if hypothetically, and I don't think we're gonna have a winter until 2025. Personally, I don't think that. That's just my opinion, though. But if we did, it would be an amazing opportunity to sharpen your skills, right? Get a side hustle, get as much cash as you can, dollar cost average into Bitcoin. And you can come out of this cycle so much smarter and so much more full of knowledge, than you had when you came in, right? I mean, that's the whole point of it. You have to learn from these mistakes. And again, going back to the altcoins, do I think that the altcoins are going to die? They're going to be dead? No. But, something that people don't like when I say this on the channel, there's a lot of people that get involved in crypto, like they get into the space. And I was the same way. And they basically fall in love with these altcoins, right? And this altcoin, it's going to change the world. This project is going to just revolutionize planet Earth and we'll never be able to live without it. And this token is going to go to the moon, right? And come to find out, like 90% of altcoins didn't even make a new all-time high this cycle around. You had Bitcoin going from literally 20,000 high to 70,000, right? And some altcoins performing maybe 50% of what they did in 2017, 2018. So this shows me that people do lose the interest. Now, as far as utilizing platforms, that's a totally different story, right? But just remember, even things like Tesla are down 74%. Tesla, huge, right? You saw the list that I had the other day, Peloton, Carvana, all these different things. And are people not using Peloton? Do people not have Pelotons? Are they not subscribed to the Peloton, workout services? No, they are. Are people not buying Teslas? Are they not using Teslas? Are companies not investing and utilizing Tesla batteries and solar power? Of course. So why is Tesla down 74%? It's because of the storm that's happening around everything right now. And, the thing about this is Bitcoin is still in its infancy. And, I've heard a lot of people I heard Gareth Soloway say this. I heard Mark Yusko say this. And, if you look at Bitcoin being only 14 years old, if you had a 14-year-old kid, right? How much does, this kid doesn't really know how to drive, you know what I mean? It's going through those growing pains, but every single cycle, you get more believers. I mean, Donald Trump literally said he hated Bitcoin. And he said, I don't like Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. They're mostly thin air. And then he makes NFTs. You know what I mean? So you see these people, Michael Saylor. In 2013, Michael Saylor, some of the stuff he was tweeting about Bitcoin was so negative. And now he's like the biggest advocate. And I think it's the more you spend time with it, the more you learn it, the more research that you do into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And I don't know like how old you guys are, everyone watching. I mean, unless you're like 95 or something, like I'm not trying to discourage age-wise. What is the big deal if you have to deal with a bear market for a year and a half? And we've already gone through I believe the worst part of it, So that's just my opinion, guys. I know it was a little bit of a rant. Let's end on a funny story, though. So this new reports into Sam Bankman-Fried and his collapsed exchanges revealed that Alameda Research, the now bankrupt crypto trading firm, almost collapsed back in 2018, even before FTX was in the picture. And yet they still let these guys... So a report published in the Wall Street Journal said that they had incurred heavy losses from a trading algorithm. So they're just not good at trading, apparently. Because what ended up happening was they lost nearly 2/3 of all their assets, and some of it was with XRP. And so Sam reportedly managed to rescue the trading firm by raising funds from lenders and investors on a promise of returns of up to 20% on the investment. So yeah, it seems like this was never going to work, and it's really unfortunate that, that has happened. But just to end on some funny kind of note, Dennis Porter says, guess what happens when AI starts to buy up all the Bitcoin? $1 million Bitcoin may just be the beginning. If AI gets smarter than us, they will buy as much Bitcoin as possible and short all the shit coins. Bitcoin is permissionless even for the robots. So will the robots be buying Bitcoin? Will the AI buy Bitcoin? I don't know. They might. They could. But what I do know is that we are at some very historically oversold levels. We are under basically all the major moving averages. And, we have a lot of resistance overhead. So the level for me, really, guys, the big level, and this would really make me bullish, again, is if we can flip this. I think this is the Terra Luna crash. I don't even remember at this point. This wick right here. And you can see how we came over here and we retouched it. And that's exactly at around 20... Why is it not showing here? It's so weird. Yeah, it's 25. It's basically 25,000. So we would really have to get Bitcoin up to around 25,000, but minimally, we would want to get above this downward sloping, this moving average, 21 exponential, which is sitting at around $19,300. So $19,300 would be like my first level, and then the ultimate level would be getting above this. Honestly, just getting above this downward sloping resistance, number one, would be good. But the better level would be getting above right here. So I don't know. Could we do it, guys? It's possible. It's possible. So that's it for me today, guys. And like I said, if you do want to learn how to trade, make sure you guys check out the tutorial and also take advantage of these free bonuses. You can sign up for BitGet. They give you, you can get bonus to trade with. Obviously, if you lose it, you lose it. If you win, though, you do get to keep your money. And they also have demo accounts, so you can trade with S tokens. They're basically dummy tokens. So if you do want to practice and you don't want to risk real money, especially during this boring time right now, take advantage of that if you guys want. There's $46,000 in bonuses below. That is it for me today. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. You're the reason that I make these videos. We will see how the markets play out tomorrow. And of course, if you haven't seen this video popping up right here, right now, check it out. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.